In 100 years, we went from a horse, buggy, and carriage to creating intercontinental ballistic missiles to create the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 craft that have now gone out into interstellar space. We've done incredible things in less than 100 years. What did Azazel begin to teach the humans? He teaches men to make swords. First thing he does, let me teach you how to cut somebody up. Let me teach you how to chop somebody to pieces. We didn't have metallurgy. We didn't know how to make swords and steel. We didn't know how to work metals. We had no idea until Azazel taught us. He taught us how to smoke metal and all that and steel and iron and how to make a sword that won't break and that can slice and dice over and over and over again. Azazel did that. He teaches men how to make swords, knives, shields, and breastplates. We didn't have anything. It didn't exist yet. Azazel taught us that. One of these Anunnaki people, and I do mean people, person. Humanoid. Azazel also teaches women the art of beautification, including the use of makeup and jewelry, which is suggested to have incited further sin. Azazel. That's how we learned how to make weapons. It didn't come from the Japanese and the Chinese, and no, they all came from one source. Azazel is the first person to teach us how to work metals and make swords and knives. First person in breastplates and shields. First person. Then what happened? Semjaza. He instructs on the enchantments of root cuttings, essentially teaching sorcery and herbalism. So he taught sorcery and herbalism. He taught people how to use herbs for either curing or for either trying to utilize those herbs in correlation with sorcery to create a particular outcome. A lot of that stuff is still being used today. And we don't want to admit that's what we're doing, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to create sorcery, burning incense, right? Smudging and all of that. That comes from Semjaza. Amaros teaches resolving of enchantments. So he's teaching how to resolve enchantments. Then you have Barakel teaches astrology. So the first time we were taught anything about astrology and how it applies to human behavior, that came from Barakel. Then Kokabel taught the knowledge of constellations. He gave some real knowledge on constellations, star systems, orbital periods, star alignments, all that came from Kokabel. Then you have Ezekiel. He teaches about the knowledge of the clouds and meteorology. So now we're getting information on the clouds, stratus clouds, cirrus clouds, predicting weather patterns, understanding barometric pressure. All of that comes from this guy, Ezekiel. And then you have Arakiel. He teaches about the signs of the earth, which might be interpreted as geology, right, or geomancy. So he's teaching geology, stones. He's teaching you how to understand layers going down, how many years back in time that goes, how to detect an area where there may be flowing rivers underneath the land, where there may be dangerous argon gases that you don't want to dig there or create something under that area. All these things, tectonic plate movements and volcanic activity, and all this information is coming from this guy, Arakiel. Then you have Shamsiel. He teaches about the signs of the sun, like the solar behavior and the solar cycles. So he's teaching about the solar maximum, the solar minimum, CMEs, coronal mass ejections. He's teaching all this information to the people. So they have a full understanding of the solar minimums, solar maximums, and how that affects global warming and global cooling, how some of these CMEs can literally affect our magnetosphere. Then you have Sariel. He instructs on the course of the moon, which encompasses lunar cycles and possibly lunar astrology. Sariel's teaching this, so the whole lunar cycle, all that's being taught by Sariel. And not only that, but because it's the lunar astrology, he's teaching about the effects of the lunar gravitational forces on human minds, human consciousness, and how it affects our own behaviors. Still to this day right now, I don't know if you knew this, but during the full moon, which is totally predictable, do you know that police stations ramp up and have more policemen on staff that night? And the emergency room and hospitals have more staff that night on a full moon? Do you know why? Because on full moons, there's going to be more activity with crime and with injuries, either stemming from crime or other, maybe more car accidents, whatever, on the night of full moon.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Full moons directly affect human consciousness. So Sariel's teaching and instructing on the moon. And so you have the consequences of all these teachings that these beings did. I don't call them angels because they're not angels in my book. The knowledge imparted by the Watchers leads to increased sinfulness and corruption among humanity, according to the Book of Enoch. The text portrays this dissemination of forbidden knowledge as one of the key factors leading to the moral decay and the eventual decision of God to bring about the great flood in the form of a divine retribution. The punishment to the Watchers is, as the result of their actions, the Watchers are judged by the archangels and are subjected to severe punishments. They are bound and cast into the abyss, a form of imprisonment and torment, as a penalty for their disobedience and negative impact on humanity. So the humans got to die in the flood. But these people, they don't die. They just get kind of bound into some kind of a chamber where they can't get out. They're not killed. They're put into some kind of prison. If you really go into the text, you discover something very interesting, that Enoch wasn't taken by God. He was taken by people. And he wasn't just taken once. He was taken more than once. You're taught in Bible study that he was taken to heaven on a chariot, never to return again. He was taken straight to heaven. He bypassed death, not according to the Book of Enoch, where he actually has a conversation with the beings that are going to take him on this trip to teach him knowledge, which is approved by the head god, Anu. This teaching is approved, and this trip is actually approved. And it's given a set day that they're going to leave on this trip. He even gets his affairs in order and has his sons prepared for the day that he's going to leave. In the Book of Enoch, the narrative of Enoch being taken into the sky or the heavens is one of the key elements of the text. The ascension is portrayed as an extraordinary event where Enoch is granted divine visions and insights, setting the stage for the detailed revelations that follow in the book. In his ascension to heaven, Enoch's ascension is described across several passages in the Book of Enoch. He's taken up into the heavens multiple times. each providing different experiences and revelations. In other words, different things he's being taught, different knowledge that he's being given on different trips. Multiple, not even double, but multiple means more than two. In his initial ascension, Enoch describes how he was taken up into the heavens on the clouds, and the wind in the sky bore him aloft. Well, that sounds quite a bit like flying in some type of a vessel. The ascension is often seen in his initial introduction into the celestial realms, and during this time, he visits various places in the heavens and earth, including the places where the heavenly bodies, stars, sun, and moon are regulated. Oh, he's in outer space, guys. One of the earliest accounts of a planned alien abduction. Visions of the heavens. As Enoch ascends, he is shown the treasures of the stars and the thunder. Among other secretive and sacred places of the heavens, he witnessed the workings of the natural world from a divine perspective. So he's looking at the earth from atop, and he describes it as a giant ball, understanding the operation of the cosmos, the weather patterns, and other natural phenomena from above, looking down on the planet. He's seeing the clouds from the other side. This isn't a story about some heavenly father, a sky daddy with a magic wand, whisking away a good human into heaven. It's a story of advanced beings with advanced technology that's capable of space travel, taking a man from the earth into space and teaching him things. This is why the book of Enoch is not in the Bible. Then you have the revelation of secrets. Throughout his heavenly journey, Enoch is also shown secrets that are not known to other humans. He's given forbidden knowledge. These include ultimate judgments of the angels and humans, hidden paths of the stars. He's given star maps, and the storehouses of life and rain, which are meant to explain both cosmic and earthly operations from a divine standpoint. He's given the information and knowledge how to predict weather patterns on Earth. That is what the book of Enoch is all about. That's what the book of Enoch is all about. You'll find everything I'm talking about is right in this book, the book of Enoch, one of the most revered people in the biblical text, whose book was omitted by the Council of Nicaea. Why? We don't want to tell them about these aliens taking people into space and teaching them how to kill each other, make weapons, and all of this, and how they lusted after our women. No. Let's keep that on the outside. Let's keep it on the outside. That's exactly why. People want to believe in fairy tales. There's just no other way. I've come to the understanding now that people want to believe. They want to so badly believe in fairy tales. A lot of people have succumbed to the life on this planet and believe that, this is hell that we're living in, and it's always the end of days. There's got to be something better, because they haven't figured out how to bring heaven to earth. They haven't figured out how to stop waiting to die so they can live. And because they can't do that, they want to believe in the fairy tales. They want to believe in, this artificial thing that happened, which is this right here. They want to believe in two of every animal of every kind that came onto this ark, and which was a giant boat that was built by man's hands in dry land, and then the flood came and swept them away, and then 8 people survived, and those 8 people turned into 8 billion. A genetic pool would need to be much bigger than 2 animals of each kind, right? You might be able to get away with it with a couple different, earthworms. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're not going to get away with creating a whole repopulation of horse by 2 horses. Man. You're not going to create a repopulation of lions from extinction, because this will be an extinction level event, with 2 lions, with a lion and a lioness. It's just not going to happen. A giraffe and a giraffe. I mean, 2 giraffes can't make, tens of thousands of giraffes that existed. I mean, it just doesn't happen that way. The opening scene in the Emerald Tablets, both says that the temples were rising up out of the mud, that the fountains had completely covered the land. We're talking about a global flood, and that people who survived in caves were coming out of the caves. Now, what's interesting is the Bible does kind of mimic some of that information, because in the Bible, what people miss, because the Bible study class never teaches you this, and the people who are studying Christianity never read the Bible. They only listen to what somebody tells them about the Bible. So they don't read the part where it says that people survived in the caves, and that kings had survived in the caves, and that Nephilim also survived. Not all the Nephilim were wiped out. Some of them survived this. And this is why you have the Nephilim giants, and you have all this population of people that survived after the flood situation happened. That's actually in the Bible, but nobody ever reads the Bible, so they would never actually know this. And if anybody is doubting what I said, just Google Nephilim survived the flood. You get all the Bible verses right there, right? The Bible verses are right there. It tells you the exact verses in Genesis where you can see that the giants survived the flood, and people survived the flood, and that they hid in caves. And in the Emerald Tablets is where they got that information from. It says that they hid in the caves in the desert, and after the flood waters began to recede, and the temples were coming up out of the mud, the people came out. The giants came out, right? And then you look at the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a huge story. It's taught in universities and ancient civilizations. Like, you can't be an ancient historian without doing a complete paper on the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's a massive story. It's considered an actual poem. And in there is who? Enlil, right? This is a Sumerian Babylonian story. And Enlil is the one that sends Gilgamesh on this hero's journey. And what's interesting about this hero's journey, Gilgamesh didn't want to be alone on this journey through the wilderness that he had to go on. And so Enlil fashioned him an artificial man, a friend to go with him, that he created, literally fashioned him, and imbued him with knowledge and intelligence, which is AI, and sent him along his way with his friend. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, they're on the search for Ziusudra. Ziusudra, or also known as Unapishtim, is also the biblical Noah. And this story about Noah and the flood was written in the Emerald Tablets 4,400 years before the Bible was even thought of being written. They discovered something amazing. Let me show the people what they discovered. They discovered these tablets. Guess what this is? The original tablets with the original instructions for Ziusudra. Let's talk about this ark that they were told to create and what it is, right? So the tablets were found. So there was an instruction that was given down to Noah, A.K.A Ziusudra, A.K.A Unapishtim. That's really, 2 names between Babylonian and Assyrian. And this information was to create an ark that was in the shape of a disc.